Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. Today I'm going to be exploring my karmic tie with William Hornby. In this video, we are going to listen to this. I'm going to react. I'm only going to react to one because, as you guys know, he's very, very heavy on talking about the toxic ritualistic. So I tend to talk about him with members a lot. So if you are interested in that, you can definitely check that out. There's a lot. There's probably going to be more. But again, I'm realizing I probably have some kind of a karmic tie to him, which basically, for anybody who's not in the spiritual world or doesn't know what that means, it basically means that there is some kind of a connection to a person. It can be more adversarial. There's a lot of connotation that it's romantic within spiritual circles, but it's not always romantic. I think it's really something where you both teach each other lessons, basically. You tend to trigger each other, you tend to bother each other. In some cases it can be good and then bad. With William, it was always bad for me. I was like, ugh. Right when I first saw him, way back in like 2021, I was horrified. But there's also other kinds of connections, like us starting our recovery at the same time in 2021. I think that's a very interesting connection, as well as in 2023, me visibly downsizing and him visibly upsizing. And by 2024, it was becoming really obvious and it was strange. Also, the fact that we're both gay, but within spiritual terms, he would definitely be more of a divine masculine and I am a more divine feminine, which basically means like we spend most of our time in different chakras, for anybody who doesn't know what the hell that means. So it's just odd. It is odd. Somebody described him in my comments as like a shadow twin. I do wonder. I think it's an interesting terminology just because of those mirrored aspects. It's strange, but yeah, it's always been uncomfortable for me. I think too, like, I can tell how controlling he is. So obviously with us both being gay, it's like whenever I've reacted to him, for some reason I've always imagined what it would be like to be in a relationship with him, and he had he was in a relationship and all this stuff. And I kept like thinking about it and I'd be like horrified. And I think that to a certain extent it's like he triggers my attachment style issues, because to me he's that like hostile or like unstable, where he like freaks me out. Basically, he always did. So I don't know. I wonder if I'm the same to him. Maybe he like can't stand me. Maybe not. Maybe he doesn't even know who I am. I would prefer that, but something tells me he probably does know, especially if he knew like the cynical dude and stuff. Like, I don't think it's that much of a stretch, especially since I've been totally bitchy to William. He probably like hates my guts, which is fine. But the point is, with the karmic tie, you tend to feel an obligation to continue to engage with it. I do feel that. I feel like it's really important within my work. He tends to talk a lot about the toxic ritualistic explicitly, so I constantly have to talk about him because nobody else will. And it's just something that comes up a lot. And I feel like Angelica kind of understands, because I feel like Angelica probably has a bit of a karmic tie with Tess Holiday, as they've literally interacted. And Tess is in part what got Angelica into fat acceptance. And then Angelica was canceled as she left. And there's just all this weird stuff. And again, Angelica feels, to a certain extent, in my opinion, obligated to cover Tess Holiday. So I do think that this can exist. People forget that for people like me and Angelica, this is our workspace. So I think you can definitely have a karmic tie with somebody in the workplace. And this is our workplace. I'm sure a lot of you guys that believe in that concept or that understand it, you guys have had that connection with somebody in a workspace. It's tough. So it's weird. I'm dealing with it. I'm just rolling with it, especially as I've started to overcome my attachment style issues. I feel like I can have more empathy for William. I feel like I can understand him better. I still think he's pretty awful, but that's my opinion. I know that he tries. Like, I think his heart is in the right place, which that takes a lot for me to say because I really don't like him. But I can understand, like, where he's attempting at coming from, but it doesn't ever land, and it's not helpful at all. So with that, we're going to go ahead and start this. I know that was a long rant, but I don't care. It's December, and I'm having fun. And this video is probably going to be shorter anyways, so period. I have my amethyst. I'm prepared. Let's go.
On people's bodies, but I'm just really concerned about how skinny pop icona celeb. I know I'm not supposed to comment on people's bodies, but I'm just really concerned about how skinny pop icona celebrity has gotten. You know that saying, I know I'm not supposed to comment on people's bodies before you go ahead and comment on someone's body doesn't absolve you of the fact that you're still doing it, right? Okay, but I just care about her health, and it's honestly triggering for me to look at her. You talk about eating disorders on the internet. What do you think? Well, my thoughts are that nobody else's body is your business unless they've made it your business, and even then it's questionable. Oh, and she hasn't. But I just care about her. Do you? Because she has actually explicitly asked people to not comment on her body. Well, I know, and that's why I said I know I'm not supposed to, but you want to make a think piece on someone else's body anyway. When you put it like that, it sounds self-serving. Isn't it, though? I think a lot of us need to do a lot less public thinking and piecing on the internet, and instead have some private phone calls with our friends and therapists. So I shouldn't post about her body? Even if I'm concerned about it? Well, yeah, because your parasocial relationship with her does not mean that your concern for her is going to reach her in a helpful or meaningful way. And actually, she's explicitly said that it's not helpful, that it is harmful to her. So stop doing it. I know I'm not supposed to comment on...
Notice he's wearing pink and green. I wonder what he's talking about. Do you guys have any clue? Isn't he just so clever? Okay, so I guess this is the new fat acceptance way. We're now actively reinforcing being... I don't know how to say it. We're now actively reinforcing reductive stuff or being unhealthy. I don't know how to say it. YouTube is really on one when it comes to this. We are now actively reinforcing people who aren't doing enough, I guess you could say. And I think that this was always going to be where fat acceptance went, because this is what it always was. It was always toxic ritualistic reinforcement. They are now, as the cultural trends shift, they're now just switching what they're reinforcing. And it's because the overly reductive side of the toxic ritualistic and Hinge, they both have a sort of symbiotic relationship. I think the other one does too. They all do. They all feed into each other. They all trigger each other. They all bother each other. But they also all feed into each other too. And they also all reinforce each other as well. So I think a lot of times people don't think of it that way, but it happens a lot where somebody who is in Hinge will look at a thinner person or somebody who's, and they will view that as a sort of impossible standard that they could never ever reach. So therefore they should never even try ever to normalize their weight. And then you'll see people who are, we'll just say thin for the sake of this video, but you know what I mean. They will look at a person who's very big and be like, oh my gosh, I don't ever want to be like that. And so that will be kind of a reinforcement to them as well. And so now fat acceptance is like actively reinforcing this, where if somebody visibly has an issue, you're not supposed to ever talk about it. They don't want you to bring it up. They're trying to keep it under wraps, or they're trying to hide it, or whatever, or reinforce, because they want to be reinforced as well. So let's listen to this again.
people's bodies, but I'm just really concerned about how skinny pop icona celebrity has gotten. You know that saying, I know I'm not supposed to comment on people's bodies before you go ahead and comment on someone's body doesn't absolve you of the fact that you're still doing it, right? Okay, but I just care about her health, and it's honestly triggering for me to look at her.
So I don't understand, like, William's obsession with health. Like, he hates it. He's almost like on a Tess Holiday level of hating health, but even she has started to shift, which I do need to talk about it, which I feel a little bit called out. I heard Angelica's video where she was like, nobody's talking about it. I probably should. That was on Compulsive Ramblers channel. Shout out. I was watching that video. It was a good video, by the way. I loved it. But basically, William is still like actively anti-health. I don't know how else to say it. Like, he really has this like obsession with demonizing health. I don't know. Because he says it a lot. Like, if it's like he'll use that as like his straw man character. Like, they'll talk about health and he just makes fun of that concept all the time. And it's very like, it's giving dumb. It's giving drastically privileged. It's giving no perspective. It's giving blocked third eye chakra, which I'm very strong in, as literally, you can see I'm wearing the color. I'm literally a mystic. So as far as like the feminine, what is it, archetype, I'm a mystic, which means that I live in the third eye, basically. I'm very much in the third eye chakra. So I can see that his is blocked. It's like, where do you think this leads, William? Where do you think not caring about health leads? You know, it's an interesting question, isn't it? Super interesting. Where do you think it leads a society that doesn't care about health? Let's get to crown, too. Let's go to a crown chakra that he clearly doesn't have functioning very well. Let me try to show you some of these divine feminine chakras, William. Where do you think the collective goes if we don't value health? Where do you think society goes? I don't think it's anywhere good. And why are you trying so hard to block other people's throat chakras? Why do you want all of us to shut up? Why is that, William? You don't like divine feminine energy? Why is that? You know, no shade. There's a lot of divine feminines that are completely imbalanced and they can't handle the masculine chakras. But William is the opposite. He doesn't like it. He doesn't like it if you talk. He doesn't think about the future at all. And he's clearly not thinking about the collective. Where does this lead, Mr. Karmic Tie? Where does this lead? Nowhere good. Nowhere good.
You talk about eating disorders on the internet. What do you think? Well, my thoughts are that nobody else's body is your business unless they've made it your business. And even then, it's questionable. Oh, and she hasn't.
I think that this is really rich coming from William, as he's literally written articles about people who are trying to downsize, especially from a vanity level. I think that that's especially bothersome to him. But he's literally done articles about how awful it is to see men trying to get abs, for example. Are those people your business, William? Because you wrote a whole article about it. It's called like Co-Parter. I read it early this year. Is that your business? Do you know, are you just obviously in the toxic ritualistic and you don't care about a woman because you're only projecting your own experience as a man because you're toxically ritualistic? So you only look at what you can project yourself into because you wrote a whole article about it. So it's not okay, or it's okay for you to care about men's bodies but not women's. It's bizarre. You know, as somebody who has left the TR for real, I can look at this issue from a collective level. This is a huge issue if regardless of if somebody is a man or a woman. This is a problem. This is not okay. I think there is a lot of aggressive reinforcement on women, and we need to do our best to mitigate that or speak against that, as there is a lot, a lot more women are vocal about this. A lot of men are more hidden about it. Not always, though. That's changing. Like I said, trends are changing. There's a lot of, I do think Gen Z men are a lot more vocal than other generations of men, which that can be good. It can also be bad. It just depends, but it's different. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, at least not spiritually. I think it's good. I think a lot of men struggle with expression. They struggle with the throat chakra. And so I think that overall it's probably a net good, but you're going to start having a lot of reinforcement on men. I think especially within Gen Z with this issue. So we do have to hold concern for that as well. But women in general have been going through it a lot for decades. It's a lot. And so I think we do need to talk about it. If somebody is unhealthfully underweight, we do need to address it. We can still do it with grace. We can still do it with empathy and respect. We can still do it all the ways. But if somebody is in the TR, affirming that is not going to help. Telling somebody it's stupid that you're not eating enough is what needs to be stated. It's wrong that you're not eating enough. That's something to be stated. You're not caring for yourself. The same things apply. And there's nothing wrong with trying to push somebody towards an average weight or a healthful weight. It's not okay, because somebody in that mindset, they're not always in their right mind. Sometimes they do need to be called out so that they can see it. Or at the very least, a seed needs to be planted that will sprout at a later time. So affirming is horrible. Hiding it is horrible. Advocating to never talk about it, or even if it's very obvious to a lot of people, it's a delicate balance. I know that people project it onto people all the time. But if you're not in the TR, you're probably not projecting. That's only people that are in it. So you'll see people with Hinge, they'll project, the reductive side onto everybody all the time. But it's a projection. If you don't have that issue, you're likely not projecting. You're likely just seeing with your own eyes, like what's going on. And remember that the TR, they all have physical traits, and they are shown within somebody. It becomes very obvious, especially as it becomes severe. So it has to be called out and taken care of, or, at least attempted. We have to at least attempt to do something, and I have concern for all of the toxic ritualistic, all of it. I come from the Hinge side, and that's what I have the most perspective on, and is the more common one out of the three. So I have to talk about it because that's where I came from. But I don't tolerate any of them at all. I've even had people comment, they're like, would you say anything about somebody who's thin? Yes, I would. Absolutely. Okay? It's not okay. None of it is okay.
But I just care about her. Do you? Because she has actually explicitly asked people to not comment on her body. Well, I know, and that's why I said I know I'm not supposed to, but you want to make a think piece on someone else's body anyway. When you put it like that, it sounds self-serving. Isn't it, though? I think a lot of us need to
The hypocrisy from William is driving me nuts in this. It's really bad. All I can say is you have to. Ugh, sorry, I'm like distracted by how much I can't stand him. Can I hear that one more time?
Anyway, when you put it like that, it sounds self-serving, isn't it?
Okay. So, in terms of what's self serving, there's a lot of conversations that I feel like William was okay with, you know? There's been a lot of criticism of, you know, people who have lost weight publicly, people like Adele, people like Lizzo, people like, I mean, there's just so many, honestly. There's so many. So it's like, I don't, why is it that William only cares about this? That he would talk about this? You know? Isn't it strange? It's just odd to me. And I don't know if I have an answer to that. I think the best answer is something that I did hear from the Compulsive Rambler, which you should check out her channel, by the way. Where she said, like, it's because William, it's like he only sees it in terms of men. And I think that that's true. I really do. I think that that's what we're seeing here. And, you know, call me a crown chakra girly pop, but again, that third eye's strong. I got empathy. I can still see. Even if somebody's a woman, I can still see it. You know, it's not dependent on that. Remember, the toxic ritualistic does not have a race or a gender or anything. Toxic ritualistic it's just a pathology. That's it. And it's bullshit no matter what. Period. We don't tolerate it. We don't reinforce it. We don't affirm it ever. No matter who is partaking in the bull.
Though, I think a lot of us need to do a lot less public thinking and piecing on the internet and instead have some private phone calls.
Okay, you first. You first, William. Gosh, you know how easy that would be to get rid of the karmic tie if he just was done. I'd be like, oh, thank God. It'd be a relief. You first, William. Please, please. I want you to lead that charge.
Are friends and therapists, so I shouldn't post about her body? Even if I'm concerned about it? Well, yeah, because your parasocial relationship with her does not mean that your concern for her is...
Yeah, and your projection on every single person that's trying to downsize and saying that they all have the toxic ritualistic is not helpful. It's not. I mean, you're a hypocrite. This is just like him being a flat-out hypocrite.
Going to reach her in a helpful or meaningful way. And actually, she's explicitly said that it's not helpful, that it is harmful to her.
So why do you care to listen to her? I've told you that what you do is harmful. A lot of people have told you what you do is harmful, but you just don't care. Like, so why do you... I don't get it. It's just weird. You see, there's something about him. It just bothers me. I don't know. I wonder if it's because I've had, like, literally, there's got to be a karmic tie or something. I don't know. I think William triggers me. I think what it is like I've dealt with, there have been times in my life where I have struggled with seeing logical inconsistencies. And I feel like he speaks only in that. And it's like really challenging for me because I'm just very emotional. I'm a very emotional girly pop. So especially when I was younger, I was vulnerable to these kind of inconsistencies. And that's why I've dealt with other karmic ties. I've dealt with narcissistic people, not like tons of them or anything. I've only dealt with 3 in my entire life. So I don't want to get accusations that I've dealt with like so many narcissists, you know, or like I think everyone is one. No. Literally 3 in my entire life. Maybe one other person that has the traits, but I don't think is actually a narcissist. You know, but it's like 3 people out of an entire lifetime. But it's like 2 of those dynamics were very karmic tie-ish, very bad. And I think that that's in part why he bothers me, because I can see it's that kind of, it's that those logical inconsistencies. And I can't quite, I'm probably not as good as some of you guys would be at pointing it out, but it's like I still feel it, you know? And it bothers me. And so that's why I feel like I'm being so extra, where I'm like, but you did this. You did this. Because it just bothers me, you know? Ugh. Ugh. It's so gross.
So stop doing it.
Ugh. Anyways. I'm telling you guys, like, I don't know. He still really bothers me. I'm sure I have to get to a point where he doesn't. So I'm going to continue to do some spiritual work. Maybe he always will bother me. I don't know. But there's just something about him. You know, I don't know. That's more like a personal thing. Obviously, like, I guess I have a personal problem. But in terms of this whole topic, I think there's just a lot of hypocrisy from him. I don't know what he actually believes. His actions don't line up with his words. Which, you know, it's giving unevolved divine masculine energy. It's not good. It means you're not genuine. Which, by the way, if you have an issue being genuine, you have a lack of divine feminine energy, or an imbalance, because that's a divine feminine thing, is to be real. So I just want to let you know. Little tidbit there. As we're just having fun this December. My gosh. Get your crystal. Throw it at the screen. I'm just kidding. No. Say your prayers. I'm telling you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you if there are any like ardent atheists in the chat, or people that think I'm just annoying and you dealt with it. I appreciate you so much. Just have fun with it. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.